Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have a natural magnetism? That power to attract anyone without seemingly making an effort? The truth is that attraction goes far beyond physical appearance. It's a complex dance of emotions and behaviors that can be learned. The secret lies in understanding how emotions work and how we can create genuine connections that spark natural interest. Today, I will reveal proven techniques that can completely transform your interactions with women, but with an important caveat. This knowledge must be used responsibly. Get ready to discover how to develop a truly magnetic presence without manipulative games or cheap tricks. Emotions are the true fuel of human attraction. When we talk about emotional connections, we are entering a complex universe that goes far beyond what the eyes can see. Imagine emotions as invisible waves that connect two people. They float, crash, blend, and create a fascinating dance of feelings. The chemistry between people is not an accident, but a sophisticated process where each emotional reaction triggers a corresponding response. Our brain functions as a sensation laboratory, releasing neurotransmitters that make us experience varying intensities of connection. Women, specifically, are deeply sensitive to these emotional nuances. They perceive much more than words. They pick up energies, hidden intentions, micro-expressions that go unnoticed by most. True attraction is born from this ability to communicate non-verbally, to understand silence and the spaces in between. Emotions are neither linear nor predictable. They fluctuate like a constantly moving sea, where moments of calm can quickly turn into intense storms. This unpredictability is precisely what makes emotional dynamics so fascinating and complex. Feelings such as joy, mystery, vulnerability, and even tension can provoke brain chemical reactions that awaken interest. It's not just about provoking positive emotions, but creating a truly engaging emotional experience. Intensity matters more than the specific type of emotion. A woman may feel equally attracted to moments of deep joy or situations that provoke controlled adrenaline. The secret lies in authenticity and the ability to evoke genuine sensations. Psychologically, we seek connections that make us feel something different from the everyday. We want experiences that pull us out of our comfort zone, that make us feel alive and connected. Attraction arises precisely in that terrain where the known mingles with the unpredictable, creating fertile ground for deep emotional connections. Therefore, understanding emotions is not just a skill, but a sophisticated art of human communication. Those who master this subtle language can create truly transformative bonds. The paradox of depression and attraction reveals a surprising emotional complexity. Women often remain in relationships that seem irrational to external observers, trapped in a cycle of intense and contradictory emotions. Psychology explores how certain emotional patterns create a kind of dependence that goes beyond logical understanding. When a woman experiences alternating moments of pain and passion, her nervous system develops a chemically addictive adaptation. Imagine a relationship where emotions constantly oscillate between moments of deep connection and periods of absolute distance. These variations provoke a release of adrenaline and cortisol that can be as stimulating as any drug. The brain, in these moments, does not distinguish pain from pleasure. It merely registers the intensity of the experience. Neuroscientists have discovered that unstable emotional experiences can create extremely powerful bonding patterns. A person starts to associate suffering with love, developing a kind of emotional dependence that seems irrational but is deeply rooted in brain mechanisms. This phenomenon explains why some women remain in seemingly destructive relationships. Unpredictability and emotional instability function as a mechanism of psychological capture, where each moment of reconciliation becomes more intense than the previous one. The brain chemistry in these situations releases neurotransmitters such as dopamine and oxytocin irregularly, creating a state of constant expectation. It's like an emotional game where the person is always waiting for the next moment of reconnection, even if that moment comes with pain. Understanding this mechanism does not mean judging, but rather recognizing the complexity of human relationships. Emotions do not follow a linear logic. They are fluid, unpredictable, and deeply individual. Each person carries a unique story that shapes how they experience emotional connections. True emotional mastery lies in recognizing these patterns without allowing oneself to be captured by them. It means developing sufficient self-awareness to identify when a connection has become more destructive than constructive, allowing for healthier and more balanced choices. The science of emotional addiction reveals a fascinating universe of invisible connections that shape our affective experiences. Our brain functions as a sophisticated emotion processing system, where each interaction triggers a complex chemical reaction capable of fully engaging us. Scientific research shows how our emotional needs can lead us to surprisingly intense behavioral patterns. The search for experiences that pull us out of our comfort zone emerges as a fundamental mechanism for our psychological survival. Neurologically, we experience a true roller coaster of sensations. Neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin dance in a chemical choreography that determines our emotional states. When we understand this dance, we open doors to truly transformative connections. Emotional balance does not mean eliminating fluctuations, but learning to navigate them consciously. Our ability to process different levels of emotional intensity differentiates us as human beings. Some people develop greater resilience, while others are more vulnerable to emotional impulses. Scientists have found that our brain constantly seeks patterns of stimulus response. This need drives us to create and recreate emotional experiences that make us feel something different from the everyday. It's not just about seeking pleasure, but sensations that make us feel truly alive. Emotional dependence arises in precisely that nebulous territory where we lose control of this regulation. When we allow intense emotions to completely consume us, we run the risk of developing self-destructive patterns that trap us in repetitive cycles of suffering. Understanding these mechanisms does not mean becoming emotionally controlling, but developing a deeper intelligence about ourselves. It means recognizing our triggers, our vulnerabilities, and our extraordinary capacity for transformation. True emotional mastery resides in the ability to observe our reactions without judgment, understanding that each emotion carries an important message. We are complex beings, driven by an intricate network of sensations that connect us to each other in absolutely surprising ways. Our challenge is to learn to surf these emotional waves with lightness, wisdom, and self-awareness. We won't always succeed, and that's okay. The important thing is to remain curious, open, and always willing to learn about this fascinating universe of human emotions. Authentic connections represent the true core of human attraction. It's not about manipulative techniques or calculating strategies, but about creating genuine emotional experiences that spark natural interest between people. Building a true connection means going beyond superficiality, diving into the deeper layers of human communication. Each interaction carries the potential to generate transformative moments where two people can connect in a truly meaningful way. Authenticity acts as a powerful emotional magnet. When someone can express their emotions genuinely, without masks or power games, they provoke an almost magnetic reaction in the other. Women, in particular, are extremely sensitive to this true energy. Emotional safety becomes a fundamental element in this dynamic. Creating an environment where the person feels valued, understood, and respected generates a much deeper attraction than any external technique. It's about making the other person feel completely welcomed in their essence. Vulnerability emerges as a powerful tool for connection. Sharing moments of fragility, fears, and dreams honestly creates an emotional bridge that transcends any artificial conquest strategy. It's not about exposing weaknesses, but demonstrating the courage to be genuine. Shared experiences serve as the cement of this emotional construction. Moments of joy, overcoming, and joint discovery create emotional memories that become much more potent than any purely physical or superficial advance. Mutual respect and the capacity for active listening are fundamental pillars for establishing truly transformative connections. It's not enough to just listen. You must understand the emotional universes that each person carries. Developing this skill means being open to a constant journey of personal growth. Each interaction becomes an opportunity for learning, where we can expand our understanding of the subtleties of human relationships. The magic of genuine attraction lies precisely in this ability to create authentic emotional bridges, where two people can connect not out of interest or manipulation, but for the fascinating beauty of true human encounter. The art of manipulating emotions requires a deep understanding of the psychological mechanisms that govern our interactions. Each strategy needs to be carefully crafted, considering the subtle boundaries between provoking interest and crossing unethical lines. Creating moments of tension, followed by relief functions, as a powerful technique for emotional connection. It's like composing music, where the moments of suspense prepare the ground for a resolution that completely captures attention. Imagine generating a slightly uncomfortable situation that stirs curiosity, only to then offer a solution that makes her feel safe and understood. The key lies in precise dosing. Provoking a feeling of controlled instability allows her brain to release neurotransmitters associated with excitement and expectation. It's not about creating real conflicts, but establishing a dynamic where your presence represents both safety and mystery. Subtle variations in behavior can evoke an almost magnetic interest. A moment of apparent disinterest, followed by a strategic approach, can create a fascinating emotional dance. The goal is not to manipulate, but to provoke a state of genuine curiosity. Psychologically, people are attracted to the unpredictable. When we manage to break expected patterns of interaction, we generate a kind of emotional short circuit that wakes instant attention. It's like presenting a puzzle where each piece reveals an intriguing part of your personality. It's important to emphasize that this approach does not mean creating destructive emotional games. The goal is to establish an authentic connection, using techniques that awaken natural interest. Respect and genuine interest are fundamental for any strategy to yield positive results. Nonverbal communication plays a crucial role in this process. Microexpressions, tone of voice, body posture, all these elements convey emotional information much more powerfully than words. Mastering this silent language means having access to a deeply sophisticated code of communication. Developing this skill requires practice, self-awareness, and, above all, an ethical commitment to the emotional well-being of others. It's not about conquering, but about establishing a truly transformative connection. The cycle of attraction reveals itself as a delicate dance between closeness and distance, where the art is in making the woman feel your presence as something almost magnetic without appearing desperate or invasive. The secret lies in the ability to create a temporary sense of ownership, followed by subtle moments of calculated disinterest. Imagine a dynamic where you emerge as an intriguing figure, capable of stirring genuine curiosity. It's not about clumsy manipulation, but about a sophisticated strategy for awakening interest. When you demonstrate that you belong to her momentarily, creating an intense and immediate connection, and then discreetly withdraw, you provoke a fascinating psychological reaction. This pendulous movement between proximity and distance acts as a powerful emotional trigger. Her brain starts to process your presence as something desirable and unpredictable. It's not about creating destructive psychological games, but about awakening a connection that transcends the ordinary. The key lies in the authenticity of this movement. It's not enough to pretend disinterest. It's necessary to cultivate genuine emotional independence. Your energy must convey that you are interesting on your own, not dependent on her approval. This awakens an almost instinctual urge to pursue. Women are deeply attracted to men who maintain their essence without seeming submissive or desperate for attention. When you show that your life is rich, interesting, and full of purpose, regardless of her presence, it provokes an almost irresistible fascination. Continuous connection does not mean a constant bombardment of messages or attention. It means maintaining strategic communication, where each interaction is meaningful and charged with energy. Small touches of mystery, progressive revelations about your personality, create an extremely attractive emotional territory. Understanding this cycle is not about mastering manipulative techniques, but developing a deep understanding of human connection psychology. It's about cultivating a presence that naturally sparks interest without seeming artificial or forced. True mastery lies in creating this emotional dance where you emerge as a fascinating figure, capable of genuinely stirring curiosity, yet never appearing completely accessible or predictable. It's a delicate balance between connection and mystery, where each interaction becomes a unique and engaging experience. The traps of emotional manipulation represent a dangerous territory where many people end up losing themselves in destructive psychological labyrinths. Trying to control another person's emotions means entering a minefield of unpredictable and potentially devastating consequences. When someone intentionally seeks to manipulate the feelings of others, it creates a vicious cycle of emotional dependence that corrodes the foundation of any healthy relationship. It's like building a fragile structure on quicksand. The more you try to control it, the more unstable everything becomes. These manipulative strategies provoke deep damage for both the manipulator and the one being manipulated. The manipulator develops a false sense of power, while the victim experiences a systematic erosion of their self-esteem and emotional autonomy. The greater risk lies in the gradual transformation of these dynamics. What initially seems like a subtle technique for gaining attention quickly metamorphoses into a toxic mechanism of psychological control. Each calculated move erodes trust, creating often invisible emotional wounds. Psychologically, these techniques act like slow poison. The manipulated person begins to constantly question their own perception, developing a permanent state of anxiety. Their judgment capacity is systematically undermined, creating an almost pathological dependence. True human connection can never be built through manipulative strategies. Genuine relationships must be founded on mutual respect, transparency, and emotional freedom. Any attempt to control feelings represents a direct violation of individual autonomy. Developing self-awareness becomes essential in this process. Recognizing one's own manipulative patterns means taking a crucial step towards personal growth. It takes courage to honestly observe our deepest motivations. The path to emotional maturity requires abandoning these control strategies. It means accepting that we cannot and should not try to mold another person's feelings. Our role is to create safe spaces for connection, not emotional battlegrounds. Freedom represents the true fuel for healthy relationships. When we can connect without needing to control, we open doors for truly transformative and authentic emotional experiences. True attraction transcends simplistic techniques or ready-made manuals. Our final challenge is to understand that genuine connections arise from respect, authenticity, and the capacity to awaken true emotions. Each interaction represents a unique opportunity to build deep emotional bridges. There are no magic formulas or shortcuts to win someone over. There's only the willingness to be truly interesting, vulnerable, and present. The invitation is for a journey of self-discovery, where you learn to value your essence and create transformative emotional experiences.